My family used me as their ATM for years and fed me bread while they feasted at a steakhouse. So I walked out, cut them off, and let the judge humble them. I'm Damien, 35, male, and for the last 17 years, I've been my family's personal checking account. Yep, you heard that right. 17 freaking years. Grab your popcorn, this is going to be long and chaotic. I work in pharmaceutical sales, territory manager for the Midwest region. The job pays embarrassingly well, base salary around $95,000, plus commission and bonuses that can add another $40,000 to $50,000 in a good year. I drive a paid-off Honda, live in a modest 2-bedroom apartment, and buy my furniture from estate sales. My CO workers think I'm cheap. My family thinks I'm broke. I never corrected either assumption. My brother Colby, 30, male, is the golden child, the success story, the one my parents brag about at every family gathering. He runs what he calls a digital marketing agency. From what I can tell, it's him and 2 freelancers creating Instagram ads for local businesses and charging them criminal amounts for basic services. But he's got an office in a trendy part of downtown Minneapolis, drives a leased Audi, and wears expensive watches that he forgets to take off in photos. Colby married Chloe 4 years ago. She's a real piece of work. Former sorority president turned lifestyle influencer with 8,000 Instagram followers. Doesn't work. Just posts pictures of herself drinking expensive coffee and talking about manifestation and abundance. My mom treats her like visiting royalty. They live in a renovated brownstone in Loring Hills with heated floors and one of those chef's kitchens. Their mortgage is over $3,200 a month. I know because I've covered it twice, when Colby's business had cash flow issues. I was 11 when I figured out how things worked. Colby was 6, and my parents threw him this massive birthday party at a trampoline park, rented the whole place, hired a guy to dress up as Spider-Man, and had a custom cake. I asked my mom if I could bring my best friend Matt. She got this annoyed look on her face like I'd asked for something unreasonable. She said, "Damien, today isn't about you. Don't be selfish." I stayed home. My dad handed me $15 and told me to order pizza. I remember sitting on the floor of our living room, eating alone, hearing my mom's voicemail fill up with messages from relatives telling her what an amazing party it was. Nobody mentioned I wasn't there. Nobody asked why. That became the blueprint. My college fund evaporated the year Colby wanted to go to a private high school with a lacrosse team. My graduation party got canceled because Colby had a playoff game. When I saved up and bought my first car, a used Civic I paid for after working overnight shifts at a distribution warehouse, my dad actually got angry. Said I made him look bad, that people would think he couldn't provide for his family. 3 months later, he bought Colby a used Jeep and told everyone he'd been saving for years to surprise him. I learned my role early. I wasn't the son you celebrated. When my parents needed $6,500 for emergency roof repairs, I sent a check. When Colby's wedding venue required a $12,000 deposit and he was short, I covered it. When Chloe's car got totaled and their insurance didn't cover the gap, I wired $2,800. When my dad's medical bills from a minor surgery piled up, I paid them $4,200. Nobody thanked me. Nobody asked how I managed it. My dad would take credit, shaking hands at church and accepting compliments about being such a provider. Colby would post pictures of his life on social media talking about hard work and blessings. Chloe would tag my mom in photos of expensive brunches, thanking her for being so generous. I became a ghost. My friend Evan would tell me I was getting used. We'd grab lunch every couple of weeks and I'd casually mention helping my family with something. He'd shake his head, call me a doormat, tell me they'd never stop taking as long as I kept giving. I'd change the subject because part of me believed that if I just gave enough, eventually they'd see me. Eventually I'd matter. 17 years. That's how long I believed that lie. 4 months ago, my mom called. It was a Thursday afternoon, and I was wrapping up a meeting with a hospital administrator when my phone buzzed. She was using her cheerful voice. She said my dad wanted to take the whole family to dinner Saturday night, that it was important, that Colby and Chloe had exciting news to share. I already knew what that meant. I thought about saying no, but I knew what would happen. My mom would send paragraph-long texts about family being important. My dad would leave a voicemail calling me ungrateful. Colby would post something about how hard it is when people don't support your success. It was easier to just go. I said yes. Mom told me the details. Saturday, 7:30 p.m., someplace called Monarch Prime. I'd never heard of it. After we hung up, I looked it up. It was one of those steakhouses where businessmen take clients to close deals, reservation only, dress code strictly enforced. The menu wasn't even online, but the reviews mentioned entrees starting at $65 and steaks going north of $200. I knew exactly how this would play out. My dad would sit at the head of the table ordering the most expensive items, making toasts, playing the generous patriarch. Then when the bill came, he'd catch my eye, that look that said, "You've got this, right?" And I'd pay like always while he accepted the praise. I called Evan that night and told him about the dinner. He laughed in that way you laugh when someone tells you they're about to make the same mistake for the 100th time. He said, "How much do you think this one's going to cost you?" I said, "Couple grand, probably." He said, "You know they're never going to stop, right? Not as long as you keep paying." I said, "Yeah, I know." But I didn't know. Not really. Not yet. Saturday came around. I spent the morning at the gym, then grabbed lunch at this Vietnamese place I like where you can get a massive bowl of pho for $8. Spent the afternoon catching up on work emails and watching college football. Around 6:45, I changed into dress pants and a button-down. I drove to Monarch Prime. The restaurant was in the North Loop, one of those converted warehouse buildings with exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. I pulled up, handed my keys to a kid in a vest, and walked inside. The hostess was wearing all black and had the kind of posture they teach you in finishing school. I gave her my dad's name. She smiled and led me through the dining room. Everything was dark wood and leather, dim lighting, quiet conversations, the kind of place where the silence itself costs money. They'd reserved a corner table near the windows overlooking the city. I was the first one there. Sat down facing the door, ordered water, didn't touch the bread they brought out. My family arrived 15 minutes late, together. My mom was wearing a dress I'd never seen. My dad had on a full suit. Colby and Chloe looked like they'd stepped out of a Neiman Marcus catalog. Colby's suit probably cost more than my rent. They walked past me toward the table. My mom was waving at someone across the room. My dad was scanning the restaurant. Colby was on his phone. Chloe was adjusting her hair. Nobody said hello. Nobody acknowledged I existed. They settled into their seats, shrugging off jackets, setting down purses. My mom leaned toward Chloe and whispered something that made them both laugh. Colby ordered a drink before looking at the menu. My dad flagged the waiter and started asking about the drink list. I sat there, hands folded, waiting for someone to notice me. The waiter came with drinks and poured them into 4 glasses. My parents, Colby's, Chloe's, skipped mine completely. My dad didn't notice. Then the menus arrived, heavy, leather-bound things with gold lettering. I opened mine and went straight to the prices. Appetizers were $28 to $55. Cheapest entree was $58 for chicken. There was a pasta for $48. I figured that was my best move, filling enough, cheap enough not to draw attention. My dad leaned back without even opening his menu. That's when I knew he was going big. He said, "Order whatever you want, tonight's special." I looked back at my menu, found the pasta again. That would work. The waiter came back, pen ready. My dad went first, ordered the ribeye, the biggest one they had, with truffle butter and roasted bone marrow. My mom ordered scallops with caviar and lobster tail. Colby and Chloe rattled off their orders, the massive porterhouse, the filet, the whole lobster appetizer, extra sides. Then, everyone looked at me. The waiter looked at me. I opened my mouth to order the pasta. My dad cut me off. He said, "Damien doesn't need much. He's trying to save money." He reached across the table, grabbed the bread basket, it was full of warm sourdough rolls with butter, and slid it toward me. The sound of the basket scraping against the tablecloth was loud in the sudden quiet. He said, "We didn't order enough for you anyway. This should be plenty." The table went silent, the kind that happens when someone gets humiliated in public. I stared at the breadbasket. My mom looked down at her napkin. Colby smirked, glancing at Chloe. She had this satisfied little smile, like she was watching something entertaining. She said, "Honestly, you should be grateful your dad even invited you." The waiter stood frozen. His pen hadn't moved. He looked at me, then at my dad, trying to figure out if this was a joke. I shook my head slightly. He stepped back. I pulled the basket toward me, tore off a piece of bread, chewed it slowly. It tasted like nothing. My dad went back to talking, something about a rental property investment. My mom asked Chloe about baby names. Apparently that was the big news they were expecting. Colby checked his phone, scrolling with one hand, drinking with the other. I ate another piece of bread and another. The basket emptied. Nobody offered me anything else. The lobster came out. Colby and Chloe tore into it, cracking shells, commenting how good it was. My mom took photos. My dad poured more drinks. When the entrees arrived, the waiter placed massive plates in front of everyone except me. My dad's steak was the size of a small roast. Colby's porterhouse hung off the plate. Chloe cut into her filet and went on about how it was the best thing she'd ever eaten. My mom ate her scallops with her eyes closed. I sat there with empty hands, watching them eat, thinking about numbers, the roof repair I'd paid for, Colby's wedding, My dad's surgery bills, my mom's credit card debt I'd cleared twice, Colby's mortgage payments twice. The numbers added up in my head while they chewed $400 steaks, and I sat there with a bread basket. Colby looked at me. You know, Damien, if you actually applied yourself, maybe you could afford to eat like an adult. Chloe laughed. Actually laughed. My mom smirked. My dad didn't even look up. I nodded, said nothing, just folded my hands and waited. Then dessert came. Some chocolate thing the size of a softball served with 4 spoons. They devoured it in minutes. I watched. When they finished, my dad patted his stomach. That was perfect. We need to do this more often. The waiter appeared holding a small black leather folder. He walked past them all and stopped next to me, placed it in front of me. I opened it. $3,184. I stared at the number. $3,184 for a meal I didn't eat. Then I stood up. The chair scraped loud enough that people at nearby tables looked over. I closed the folder, slid it across the table toward my father, looked at the waiter and said, "Give it to the people who actually ate." They all went dead silent. Then my mother asked, "Excuse me?" "Yeah," I replied, "Excuse you." Then I walked away. I walked through the restaurant, past the bar, past the host stand, out the front doors into the October cold. My hands were steady. I felt calm, weirdly, impossibly calm, like I'd been holding my breath for 17 years and finally exhaled. Got to my car and sat behind the wheel. Didn't start the engine, just sat there in the parking garage for a minute. Inside, I knew what was happening. The waiter was standing at the table holding that bill. My dad was staring at the total, face going red. My mom was looking around nervously worried about what people were thinking. Colby was probably fumbling for his wallet, realizing his credit card wouldn't cover half of it. My phone started buzzing. Text from Mom, "Get back here right now." "Dad, don't you dare humiliate us like this. Fix this immediately." "Colby, are you kidding me? You're embarrassing us." "Chloe, you're pathetic. Grow up and pay the bill." I read each one, let them sit there on my screen. Then I opened my contacts and blocked them all, each one of them. Click, click, click. I started the car, drove home slowly, taking the long route through downtown, past the river, past the old neighborhoods. No rush, nobody waiting, nobody calling me. I parked at my building, walked up 3 flights of stairs, stepped inside and sat on my couch in the dim light. For 17 years, I'd believed that staying quiet was the same as keeping peace. That paying for their meals, their bills, their emergencies was what family required. That if I just gave enough, eventually they'd see me. That I'd feel I was good enough. But sitting there with that bread basket in front of me while those bastards ate $400 steaks, I finally understood. I was never their son or their brother. So I opened my banking app and started scrolling through automatic payments I'd set up over the years. Dad's yacht club membership, $385 a month. Colby's business loan payment, $850 a month. Mom's spa membership, $175 a month. Parents' timeshare in Scottsdale, $625 a month. I canceled every single one. Each confirmation felt like another weightlifting. Moved to my credit cards, found the authorized users, Colby on 2 cards, Dad on 1, Mom on another, removed them all, locked the accounts, changed every password. Then I opened my email, searched for invoice, receipt, payment. Years of history appeared. I'd paid for trips I wasn't invited on, birthdays I never attended, renovations on houses where I'd never been welcome, created a folder, evidence, and started moving everything in. Then I went deeper, pulled up pending charges on my credit cards, found 6 I hadn't authorized. Chloe at Saks Fifth Avenue 2 days before the dinner. Colby at a golf club pro shop. Mom at Nordstrom. Dad at a luxury car detailing shop. 2 more from Chloe's business account, $2,400 total for marketing expenses. I disputed every single one, filed fraud reports. The bank sent confirmations within minutes. The charges would be reversed. They'd all get notifications. Perfect. By Sunday night, I'd canceled 15 recurring payments. Total monthly savings, $3,900. $3,900 I'd been sending every month to people who treated me like a stranger. Monday morning, I drafted an email to my extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, who'd probably start getting calls from my parents soon. "I'm dealing with a personal matter and need space. Please don't contact me on behalf of my parents or Colby. I'll reach out when I'm ready." Send it to 22 people, then set up email filters. Anything containing my parents' names, Colby's name, or Chloe's name went straight to a folder I'd never check. I called Evan, told him everything. He was quiet for a second, then started laughing. "Holy hell, Damien, you actually did it!" I said. "Yeah, I did." He said, "Finally, man, took you long enough. How do you feel?" I thought about it. Free. Tuesday afternoon, they showed up at my building. I was heading out to grab lunch when I saw them in the lobby. All four of them standing near the front desk talking to Stan, my building manager. Dad's voice was loud. "This is a family emergency. We need to see him immediately." Mom had this worried look plastered on her face. Colby stood with his arms crossed, jaw tight. Chloe looked annoyed. I stopped just inside the hallway, took a breath, considered turning around, but no. This was my building, my home. They were the intruders. I walked forward. Stan saw me first. "Mr. O'Brien, these folks say they're your family. They're asking for access to your unit." I looked at them. "I don't want them in my building." Mom stepped forward. "Damien, please. We just want to talk." I shook my head. "No." Dad's face went red. "This is ridiculous. You embarrassed us. You left us with a $3,000 bill we couldn't pay. You've been ignoring us. You owe us an explanation." I looked him dead in the eye. "I don't owe you anything. Figure it out." Colby stepped closer. "Don't you dare talk to your father like this. You need to grow up and fix this." I said, "You are not my problem anymore, people. I am done with you." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "Damien, how can you do this? What happened to you?" And something inside me snapped. "What happened to me?" I said. "Apparently I'm not letting you walk all over me anymore. I've dealt with your bullshit for years. Helped all of you because I was stupid enough to think you saw me as a son. You don't. You see me as a wallet. Now that wallet is closed. Now get the hell out of here." They froze, had the audacity to look hurt too. "That's not true," Dad said. I cut him off. "Then why did you hand me a bread basket while everyone else ate $400 steaks? Why did Chloe tell me I should be grateful you even invited me? Why have I been paying for your lives for years while you never even say thank you?" The lobby went dead silent. Stan shifted uncomfortably. A couple of residents walked through, trying not to stare. "I canceled the payments, all of them. Removed you from my credit cards, disputed the charges you made without asking. I'm done. Sort it out and leave me alone." "You can't do that," Dad yelled. "You don't get to cut us off like this." I smiled. "I just did. Sue me." Colby's voice went sharp. "You're going to regret this, Damien." I looked at him. "I'm really not." Turned to Stan. "Please make sure they leave." He nodded, stepped toward my family. "You folks need to go." I walked past them out the front door. I heard my dad shout my name, didn't stop, got in my car, drove away, didn't look back once. That night, I did the math, pulled up every receipt, every bank statement, every invoice going back 17 years, built a spreadsheet. When I finished, the number made my jaw drop. $284,000 I'd given them over 17 years. That was a house. That was retirement money. The spreadsheet was 14 pages long when I printed it. Over the next week, I watched the fallout through email. Everything went to that filtered folder, but I checked it once, just to see. Dad's Yacht Club sent a suspension notice. Membership terminated for non-payment. The Scottsdale Timeshare Company charged the $1,900 cancellation fee to Dad's credit card. The bank sent Colby a notice about his business loan, first missed payment. One by one, the luxuries I'd been funding disappeared. 2 weeks after the dinner, I came home from work to find my car keyed. Deep scratches down both sides from headlight to taillight. The word jerk carved into the driver's side door. I filed a police report. 3 days later, someone slashed 2 of my tires. I installed a dash cam that night. Front and rear facing, motion activated. Cost me $400, but worth it. Next incident, my apartment. Came home to red paint splattered across my door, dripping down to the carpet, the word traitor in sloppy letters. Stan reviewed the hallway cameras, figure in a hoodie, and mask, no face visible. The harassment continued, fake client complaint at work, fake Facebook profile in my name posting lies about abandoning my sick mother, a dead rat on my doormat, my building's exterior wall spray painted Damien O'Brien, ice a thief. Chloe made a mistake. She posted the photo of that vandalism on her Instagram story with a caption, "When karma comes for people who abandon family." I screenshotted it before it disappeared. I called Evan. He said, "Dude, you need to lawyer up. These people are insane. He gave me the number for his attorney, Julia, who specialized in family law and restraining orders. We filed for restraining orders against all four of them. Comprehensive petitions with every incident, police reports, photos, the $284,000 spreadsheet, screenshots of threatening messages from extended family, Chloe's Instagram story, security footage of Colby's SUV. The court date was everything I hoped for. The judge, a woman in her 60s who clearly had zero tolerance for nonsense, granted the orders. 2-year restraining orders, 500-foot distance from my home, work, and vehicle. She also ordered them to pay restitution for the property damage, final amount to be determined later. 6 weeks after that, after a forensic accountant went line by line through every expense, the same judge awarded me $24,000 in damages and restitution, $6,000 each from the four of them, due within 90 days or wages garnished. 3 months later, a certified check for $24,000 arrived. They had paid. I took half and donated it to a financial literacy nonprofit that helps young people avoid toxic financial relationships. The other half paid for a 2-week solo trip to Japan, something I'd always wanted but never done because I was too busy bankrolling everyone else. I didn't post about it, just went, ate incredible food, walked through cities where nobody knew my name. When I got back, my apartment felt lighter. The restraining order was still in effect. Nobody had violated it. I changed my phone number just to be safe. Life moved forward. I still think about that night at Monarch Prime sometimes. The breadbasket, the look on their faces when I slid the bill back, the panic they must have felt. But mostly I think about the moment in my car afterward, sitting in the dark parking garage, blocking their numbers one by one, and the quiet that followed. That was the moment I chose myself. Sometimes, late at night when the apartment is quiet and the city lights flicker through the blinds, I still feel the weight of that breadbasket in my hands, like it was made of lead instead of wicker. 17 years of swallowing every insult, every erasure, every Damien will cover it just condensed into that one cheap basket of sourdough rolls. And for a second I almost laughed at how perfectly it summed up my entire life. Here, eat the scraps and be grateful. Then the anger comes. Not the explosive kind, but the slow, cold kind that settles in your bones. Anger at them, sure, but mostly at myself for believing that love and money were the same currency. For thinking that if I just paid enough, sacrificed enough, stayed quiet enough, one day they'd look up and finally see me. I gave them $284,000 and an entire adulthood, and in return they handed me bread while they ate $400 steaks and told me I should be thankful to sit at the table at all. But the strangest part? After the rage fades, what's left is an emptiness. It's relief so deep it almost feels like grief. Like I'd been carrying a corpse on my back for 17 years, and only realized it was dead when I finally set it down. Blocking their numbers that night wasn't dramatic. It was the first full breath I'd taken since I was 11 years old. I'm 35 now. And for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of my own bank account. I'm not bracing for the next emergency call, the next guilt trip, the next family comes first lecture that somehow always ended with my wallet open. I can walk into a grocery store and buy the good coffee without doing mental math about whose mortgage I'm covering this month. I can plan a trip without wondering whose life will fall apart if I'm not around to fix it. Freedom tastes better than any steak at Monarch Prime ever could. I'm not fixed. Some nights I still wake up at 3 a.m., checking that the doors are locked, half expecting another dead rat or spray-painted slur. Some triggers still make my chest tighten, like seeing a family laugh together in a restaurant or hearing someone brag about paying for their sibling's wedding. But the difference is I don't apologize for taking up space anymore. I don't shrink. I don't reach for my card when the bill comes. I chose myself. And damn, it feels good to finally be on the winning side of that decision.